Good morning, and Merry Christmas.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Last class, we were dealing with two masses with the spring in between.
Yes, sir.
We didn't apply any external force to that, right?
No, sir, nothing.
Now we'll make the transition into a system where there will be external force. First of all, solve one easy problem. There is a block kept here. This is of mass m1 and a spring connected to another block of mass m. This is a smooth wall. This mass is compressed by a distance of x and released. This mass is compressed by a distance of x and released. Right? Compressed M2 is compressed by a distance of x and release. Find velocity of center of mass when the spring is at maximum elongation. You compress and release it, it will start moving to the right after some time, right? When the spring is at its maximum elongation, find the velocity of center of mass. Is the question clear?
Yes.
Will you attempt?
Yes, sir. Attempting, sir.
I am waiting. All surfaces are smooth. Test problem is very easy.
Storage and one fixed.
If M1 is fixed, where does the question of maximum elongation?
Yes. Oh.
This is a smooth wall. M1 is not fixed. Somebody typed an answer to the co-host. Do not type to the co-host on my cell phone. The answer will blink and go. Type it to the host. X root over of k m2 upon m1 plus m. X root over of k m2. I think one or two students typed the correct answer. You compressed this by a distance of x and released. Listen, all of you. When the mass is passing through this position again to the right, can you tell me what will its velocity be? Half m2 v square is equal to half kx square. Because till then m1 did not move. When m2 is crossing back its position of natural length of the spring, this will be the velocity of m2. Do everybody agree with this? Say something.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Half will go. Velocity is x root over of k by m. This is the velocity of the block when it is passing through this position of natural length of the spring. This is velocity of the block when it is passing through this position of natural length of the spring.
सर ये कंप्रेस होकर वापस आ रहा है ना?
तो कंप्रेस होके वापस ही तो आएगा ना, कहाँ जाएगा?
हाँ सर, मैं कंफर्म कर देता
Right? It's passing through this particular position. Now, at this instant, something important is happening. Once the spring crosses this position to the right, don't you think it will leave contact with the wall? M1 will leave contact with the wall.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why are you so very interested at that instance when
सर
M1
पहले
leaves
जैसा केस
contact
हो
with the
जाएगा
wall? External force will become zero.
0.
I am keen on that point. एक बार external force zero हो गया तो velocity of center of mass will remain constant thereafter.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When you compressed and released, right, from here till here, the spring is in the compressed position, right?
Yes.
From here till here. In the compressed position, M1 is pushing the wall, wall is pushing it. There is an external force called a normal force here when the spring is in the compressed state. When it is crossing through this particular point, at this instance, M1 is leaving contact with the wall because that from here, the spring gets elongated. Elongated spring will pull this block to the right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So at this instance, if you calculate the center of mass velocity, M1 is 0, M2 is how much? X root over of k by M2 upon M1 plus M2. This is the velocity of center of mass at the instance when M1 is leaving contact with the wall. Velocity of center of mass at the instance when M1 is leaving contact with the wall. Thereafter, when you need the velocity of center of mass, I don't care. It remains constant all through. You want it at maximum elongation, you want it at some other instance, you want it at some other instance. I don't care. Center of mass will be moving with the same velocity thereafter.
Done, sir.
Sir,
Suppose you are pulling one of the block with a constant force F. Suppose you are pulling one of the block with a constant force F. This is M1. This is M. You are pulling one of the block with a constant force F. Now here usage of center of mass frame becomes almost unavoidable. Right? First of all, I'm interested in the maximum elongation. Maximum elongation. Acceleration of center of mass will be F divided by M1 plus M. Do you agree with this? Center of mass is moving to the right. Net external force divided by M1 plus M2 will be the acceleration of center of mass.
Yes, sir.
As observed by this observer, center of mass is accelerating. So technically you will have to put a pseudo force on M1 and M2. M2 per this is the force. This will be M2 into ACM. M1 per that is the force. M1 into ACM. As the center of mass is accelerating and you are observing the motion with respect to center of mass. You are observing the motion with respect to center of mass. You have to take a pseudo force into consideration. This is pseudo force, this is pseudo force. Now, the beauty in the problem is calculate the net force on it other than the spring. F minus M2 into ACM is F divided by M1 plus M. M1F.
Yes, sir.
M2F and M2F will get cancelled out. I am left with M1F upon M1 plus M. M1 into ACM. F divided by M1 plus M. That means this is M1F upon M1 plus M2. Are you trying to tell me that somebody standing on the center of mass will observe both the blocks being pulled away from him with the same force? M1F divided by M1 plus M2, M1F divided by M1 plus M2. Are you trying to tell me that somebody standing on center of mass will observe both the blocks being pulled away from him by the same?
Sir, can you explain this again?
Pardon?
Can you explain this part again?
The net force on this is F minus M2 ACM. ACM,
Yes, sir.
this is the pseudo force. Simplified, you are getting a particular force.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On M1, it is M1 ACM. I substituted ACM and I am getting the same force. That means this observer on the center of mass will observe both the blocks being pulled away from him by the same force.
Yes.
Now, when will he report maximum elongation? When both the blocks come to rest with respect to him?
Yes.
Maximum elongation happens according to him when both the blocks come to rest with respect to him.
Yes, sir.
So work done by this force and work done by this force. M1F upon M1 plus M2. Work done on M2, that into X2
Yes.
plus M1F upon M1 plus M2 into X1. This moved by a distance of X2. This moved by a distance of X1. So
Yes.
this force into X1 plus this force into X2 will be the net total work done. You are claiming that they both should come to rest with respect to the center of mass, that is maximum elongation. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So I should equate this to half K X1 plus X2 whole square. If they come to rest, implies whole of that energy should go into the spring.
Yes, sir.
Now this will be M1F divided by M1 plus M2 into x1 plus x2 is equal to half k x1 plus x2 whole square. X1 plus x2, which is x maximum, will be 2 times m1f divided by k into m1 plus m. Whole of the work done by these two forces should go into the elastic potential energy of the spring. And that happens because you are dealing with x maximum. When does x maximum happen? When both the blocks come to rest, as seen by somebody on center of mass frame of reference. Do you mean to say this will be always universally true? For a guy standing on center of mass, you will always see the two blocks being pulled away by equal force and opposite in direction. Yes, equal force, opposite in direction. Can you show us that for any arbitrary forces I apply on both M1 and M2, will I get the same value of the force? You will. I'll show you.
Okay.
So this is not a result we'll remember, right? That x maximum elongation.
No, you don't need to memorize this, but you should know what we have done. This
So
application.
the process.
Tell me when I can rub the board.
Yes,
1 minute. Done, sir.
So,
Ah.
from the center of mass frame, both blocks will appear to move with the same force in opposite directions, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Can you prove that for a general case? We can. Have a look at it. Suppose I take this to be M1 being pulled by a force of F1. M2 being pulled by a force of F2. Now, if for this I prove, it will be true for any case.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Acceleration of center of mass, I assume is F2 greater than F1. What if my assumption is wrong? I'll get a negative sign for ACM. No big deal. I am assuming F2 greater than F1, so center of mass is accelerating this way. What if F2 is less than S1? That will itself take care of the problem. You get a negative sign here. Job done. So now, according to this observer, what will be the direction of the pseudo force on M1? F1 is acting, pseudo force will be M1 ACM. On M2, you have a force of F2 and pseudo force will be M2 ACM. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Net force is M1, F1 plus M1 into ACM is F2 minus F1 upon M1 plus M2. This will be M1 F1, M1 F1, M2 F1
Yes.
plus M2 F1 minus M1 F2, sorry, plus minus M1 F upon M1 plus M. Is my simplification correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I am getting M1 F2 plus M2 F1 upon M1 plus M. The net force acting on M1 as seen by the observer on the center of mass. I will have to lower the camera. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now let us calculate the net force on M2. Net force on M2 will be F2 minus M2 into ACM. What is ACM? F2 minus F1 upon M1 plus M2.
Yes, sir.
M1 F2. M1 F2 plus M2 F2 minus M2 F2 plus M2 F1 upon M1 plus M2. M1 F2 plus M2 F1 upon M1 plus M2. As seen by somebody on center of mass, they will see both the blocks being pulled away from them by the same force. Now, to find the maximum elongation, what will I write? M1 F2 plus M2 F1 upon M1 plus M2 into X1 plus X2, which will be the maximum elongation, will be half K X1 plus X2 whole square. Will I get X maximum as 2 times M1 F2 plus M2 F1 upon M1 plus M2 into K. This is X maximum. Square root of 9. Now they can give you a number of combinations here. They'll give you 2F, F, 3F, 2F, 2F, 4F. Whatever values of F1 and F2 they give, substitute, you get the answer.
Yes, sir.
Sir, sir, I have a doubt.
Well,
Sir, on M2, F2 is acting on the right hand side. So, sir, just can you once explain why, why the acceleration will be on the opposite side and not towards the.
He means pseudo force.
Pseudo force.
Yes, sir.
hey, pseudo force will be opposite to the direction of acceleration of the wave.
Always. No?
Always. ACM is this way.
Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it.
You got
Yes, sir. Got it.
Somebody is asking, why didn't you take that of the spring? लिया ना यार, half k x1 plus x2 L square. एक ही equation में कितने बार work done भी लूंगा, half k x1 plus x2 भी लूंगा? नहीं. Net total work done by these forces is going into the elastic potential energy of the spring. लिया हुआ है.
So all these sums are better to be done from the center of mass frame.
Yes. The reason being, from ground frame, kx is varying. Integrate करना पड़ेगा. Kx is varying. You will have to integrate if you solve from ground frame. Though it can
Sir,
be.
no needs.
So, but how in center of mass frame then kx will not vary? I didn't get your point.
Pardon?
I didn't get your point. In center of mass frame, how will kx not vary as in?
It does vary. You have taken half kx when energy is stored in the spring. You know the total distance moved. In the ground frame, you don't know x1 and x2. You have to take integral f dot dx. Till it reaches, right? Because in
Yes.
ground frame, you don't know that they come to rest. They will not come to rest. Here, what's happening is they're coming to rest. So whole of that goes into half k x1 plus x2 whole square.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Done.
No, sir, wait. Yes, sir, done. Wait.
Done. No, listen. This is a 3 kg block, this is a spring, and this is a 2 kg block. Here you are applying a force which is not constant. You are taking it as 5t Newton, where t is time. Whatever done till now, all everything that you have explained, you have taken constant forces. One force F or F1 and F2, all forces were constant. Now here, what did you take? Variable,
Variable.
right? Mihir writes, when we are writing net force on the blocks, why are we not considering spring force? आप सो रहे हो मिहिर, 3 बार बोल चुका हूं मैंने, किसी ने पूछा है हाफ के x1 प्लस x2 होल स्क्वायर हमने लिया है कि नहीं? कितने बार लोगे एक ही इक्वेशन में? नेट वर्क डन इज इक्वल टू हाफ के x1. मैंने कुछ नहीं लिखा. So there is a spammer with your name. He's writing the same thing to host. He's writing to the co-host. ओ स्पैमर भाई, मिहिर का नाम क्यों यूज कर रहे हो यार? तेरा खुद का नाम लिखो ना यार.
सर 2 मिहिर है.
सर 2 मिहिर है क्लास में हमारे.
With same surname.
नहीं सेम सरनेम थोड़ी.
सर एक मिहिर बिरान
एक मिहिर
Other
M है, एक
Mihir
और
is
एक
also
M है.
typing, I
There are
didn't
two
write
Mihirs
anything.
with different surnames.
The second Mihir is also writing, sir, I didn't write anything. मतलब spammer है.
हाँ सर.
Fine. Now here the force which you are applying is 5T. The force is a variable. So the question they designed was like this. Find the velocity of the 2 kg block after 10 seconds. After 10 seconds or at time t equal to 10 seconds, velocity of 3 kg block is being given as 30 meters per second. Find the velocity of the 2 kg block at that instant. Velocity of 2 kg at this instant. Will you try or should I discuss?
We'll try, sir.
Sir, we will try.
I am waiting. If I know the acceleration of center of mass at that instant, rather velocity, give me VCM. 3 kg into 30 plus 2 kg into V upon 3 plus 2 is my answer. If you tell me VCM, I will tell you V. I'm smart, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Tell me VCM, I can tell you V very easily. That's a hint. acceleration of center of mass 5t divided by 2 plus 3. Do you agree with this?
Yes.
Sir, 5 into 2, right? Acha, nahi, nahi.
5T upon
50 by
2
5.
Right? So this will
Yes, sir.
technically be t.
T. Yes.
Yes, sir.
dVcm by dt is equal to t. dVcm is t dt 0 to 10 seconds 0 to VCM. VCM is 10 square minus 0 square by 2. This is 50 meters per second. Substitute 50 here, you should be getting velocity of the 2 kg block.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, nahi, 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 1 minute, 1 minute.
Acceleration of center of mass is the net external force divided by the total mass.
Yes, sir.
Sarvesh, acceleration of center of mass is net external force divided by the total mass. Now have a look at this. This is A and this is B. In this problem, they gave you identical masses, but you will write A and B separately so that you know which block you are referring to. MA is equal to MB is equal to M. Right?
Yeah.
If X naught is the elongation in the spring, elongation in spring at an instance. X naught is the elongation of the spring at an instant of time t. But some instant of time x naught is the elongation. Find the displacement of both the blocks relative to the ground. Find the displacement of both the blocks. Find XA and XB. XA and XB with respect to ground. In terms of what? In terms of F, in terms of time, in terms of mass and X naught. In terms of F, T, X naught, M. Your
Sir,
answer
K.
should be and K. Wonderful. K नहीं आएगा यार. K नहीं आएगा.
हाँ, sir, but given in a question.
नहीं. Your final answer we don't want in terms of K. It should be in terms of F, T, X naught and M. Will you try or should I discuss?
I will try, sir.
Try.
त्यांची तब्येत खूप खराब आहे का?
Listen. The first thing that I'll be interested in here is acceleration of center of mass.
F by 2m.
By
By
2m.
2m.
Don't you think the center of mass is constant?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Constant and more than happy. Something that we learned when we were just born was S is equal to UT
UT
plus
plus
half
half
AT
AT square.
square, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
SCM, initial velocity is 0, half F by 2m into T square. This is the displacement of XCM, which will be equal to MA into
X
XA
plus
plus
MA
MB into XB upon MA plus MB. Sounds so good, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
sir.
MA is equal to MB, I know XA plus XB. एक इक्वेशन को ढंग से आ गया. I will write Ft square by 4m is equal to MA is equal to MB. So this will be
बाहर निकले cancel out हो
XA
जाएगा सारा.
plus XB by 2. This is my first equation. Second equation, if this moved by XB and this moved by XA, can I write X naught is equal to XB minus XA?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Two equations and two variables. Should not be difficult beyond this.
Sir, you never make ears of that smiley face. So does that symbolize something or?
I never make what?
Ears, कान नहीं बनाते.
कान नहीं बना, भूल जाता हूँ.
Sir, the x naught is the total distance.
है, something important is being done.
Okay.
Yes. Sir.
Admire the beauty, then talk. हाँ, अब बोलो क्या है?
Yes. Sir.
Sir, ये x naught ये total distance है क्या?
The elongation spring है question में.
अरे sorry, भूल गया दोबारा.
X naught is the elongation of the spring given in the question. If this moved by XB, constraint relations याद करो.
Yes,
What
sir,
did we
yes.
do? If this is XB, this is
हाँ.
XA.
So
Those
the
days we
total
used to
होगा
be the
x minus
same.
x.
XB minus
minus.
XA, we used
Yes.
to equate it to 0.
Yes, sir.
Today
Yes.
it is equated to X naught.
हाँ sir.
Sir, F and T and in सब नहीं है आंसर.
The voice was breaking. Some FB could hear, then the voice broke, then something else.
The answer doesn't come in terms of F and M.
Yeah.
तो
Your
तो
answer
सब्स्टिट्यूट
will
कर ले
be
x नॉट
XA will be half of
X not.
T square
T
by
square by 2
M
plus
M
Sir, by 2
minus
minus x
by
naught
2 हाँ
plus
सर
x
किया था और उसमें प्लस x नॉट
प्लस आ जाएगा
हाँ
उसमें
प्लस x नॉट आएगा.
Smart. All of you could solve two equations and two variables. I'm happy.
आपसे करने से
आपने
पहले ना
सिखाया है
yes sir finally something covid batch achieved.
Yes, my
achievement
So can we get an equation
Can we?
using work energy in COM frame, center of mass frame?
वो distance पूछ रहा है यार. Center of mass frame में जाकर क्या करें? वो maximum elongation जो पूछता है center of mass necessity. The question paper you will be using that won't help you. You will get a relation, absolutely no issue. But that won't help you get X and X. And that too he is asking X and X3 with respect to ground.
Yes.
Can I rub the board?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gradually we'll make transition into a few difficult problems, but before that we will have to highlight something called an impulsive force and a non-impulsive force. This transition will be slightly difficult because there is no clear demarcation of the line. Up till we had standard rules: a plus b whole square, a square plus b square plus 2ab. There is no choice of deviation. Here it becomes your discretion. That is where conservation of momentum chapters become a bit difficult. Though not very difficult, but a bit difficult because it uses your discretion. Some forces are categorized as impulsive, some forces are categorized as non-impulsive. There is no clear-cut demarcation to tell you that these forces are always impulsive, these forces are always non-impulsive. You'll have to use your judgment. That makes it a bit tricky. I'll give you a few examples before I tell you which are impulsive forces and which are non-impulsive forces. Any force in a short time interval, it can create appreciable change in momentum is impulsive force. Any force, listen to me carefully. This is something which you have to listen and learn. Any force which can create a sufficiently good change or appreciable change in momentum in a short time interval is impulsive. So shall I say normal force is always impulsive? Need not be. There lies the problem. Same force in some situations will be impulsive, some situations is non-impulsive. I'll give you one example. Listen carefully. Tension in this string, it depends on the problem. I am pulling with a force on both sides. This tension is non-impulsive. Non-impulsive. Same tension is now impulsive. You get the difference?
Yes, sir.
I am pulling with a force F on both sides. I am applying sufficiently good force. But it is non-impulsive. Impulsive.
Yes, sir.
The tension in this string is non-impulsive. Impulsive.
Yes, sir.
You get the difference?
Yes, sir.
Now this discretion is in. Now I cannot tell you a thumb rule. Is the tension always impulsive? My hands are tight. Give me the situation.
Yes, sir.
Right? What is impulsive? In a short time interval, just before it becomes taut and just after it becomes taut, it produced sufficient change in momentum. You are able to see that. This was falling with a velocity v. Just after it became taut, velocity became
Zero.
zero. So sufficient change in momentum, right? This force is non-impulsive. This force is impulsive. Frictional force, is it always impulsive? You cannot state that. Frictional force can be non-impulsive. Frictional force can be impulsive. Give me all the examples possible. Right? First of all, write down two notes. Note. Impulsive forces, subheading. Impulsive forces. Subheading लिखो. Definition लिखो पहले.
Yes.
A force of relatively high magnitude. A force of relatively high magnitude acting for a very short time interval acting for a very short time interval and can produce appreciable change in momentum and can produce appreciable change in momentum. And can produce appreciable change in momentum. Or a significant change in momentum. Anything will do. Appreciable change in momentum or a significant change in momentum is called an impulsive force.
Sir, is called as
Impulsive force.
Yes.
yes, sir. Done.
First point, note, first point. Gravitational forces and spring forces. Gravitational forces and spring forces are non-impulsive. Gravitational forces or spring forces are non-impulsive in the bracket generally. Gravitational forces and spring forces are non-impulsive in the bracket generally. ध्यान से सुनिए, listen. If there is a body falling from the top and a body projected from below, just before collision, you projected one body upwards, one body is falling from above, right? Now they collide somewhere here. This will have n delta t, this will have n delta t on each other. In all problems of physics, you will conserve linear momentum in the vertical direction to find out V1 and V2. This is U1 and U2. This is V1 and V2. Now remember, this normal force is impulsive. We have done this. Only on M1 if I take this normal force produced appreciable change in momentum. Direction tak badal gaya.
Yes.
But taking these both as one system, who gave you the permission to conserve linear momentum? Don't you think there is gravitational force acting on it? Problem is, gravity is non-impulsive. What does that mean?
Can be neglected.
Use your discretion and listen carefully. In that very short time interval of contact, whatever was the change in momentum was mainly because of only the normal force. Gravity did not contribute too much of a change in momentum. For instance, if n delta t changes the momentum by a quantity called 10 Newton second, gravity in that short time interval will change the momentum by 0.001 Newton second. Gravity also contributes to change in momentum. This was falling. You give surplus time, this will be large. N delta t contributed to say 10 Newton per second. Gravity contributed to how much change in momentum? 0.001. So I will assume gravity is not contributing appreciably to the change in momentum of the system. So gravity becomes an non-impulsive. So I am conserving momentum because the change in momentum due to gravity is negligible in that short time interval. So gravity हर वक्त the non-impulsive बना दोगे यार. Every time I can conserve momentum. गलत. Suppose I take a body and we have done this. Small m is released from here and it reaches the lower bottom. Find the velocity of V0. किया है कि नहीं ये problem हमने?
Yes.
इसमें small m is sliding down and it takes surplus time to slide down. Delta t is not tending to 0. So there is surplus change in the vertical direction momentum due to gravity. And I didn't conserve linear momentum in the vertical direction.
Yes, sir.
Do you get this
Horizontal.
point? Undoubtedly, F external jab hai, you cannot conserve momentum. Undoubtedly, F external is equal to dP by dt. If you have got an external force, momentum is not conserved. But now what is the exception you are telling me? You are telling me F external dot delta T is delta P. Limit delta T tending to 0 in that short time interval. If delta P also tends to 0, though there is an external force, I can conserve linear momentum, but that purely depends on the nature of this force. Gravity in this case is non-impulsive. So I can conserve momentum in the vertical direction, but I will be conserving for a situation just before collision and just after collision. Long after collision, gravity changed the momentum. Long after collision, the mass came till here. Velocity from V1 becomes 0. Gravity changed the momentum to a great extent. But in a very short time interval, delta T tending to 0, delta P will tend to 0. So momentum can be conserved just before collision and just after collision. You give surplus time, even for gravity, you cannot conserve momentum. Is this point clear to all?
Yes.
Make a note of this, I will further dig into it.
Sir, so can we say that gravity is non-impulsive in short period of time, but an impulsive force in long period?
Don't use that language, that will lead to confusion. Right? In a sufficiently long time interval, it produces good amount of change in momentum.
Okay.
In a very short time interval, because gravity always we will call it as non-impulsive only. But if you give surplus time, even non-impulsive forces can produce change in momentum.
Okay.
Right? When you give surplus time, non-impulsive forces also produce change in momentum.
Yes.
Sarvesh, you typed some lengthy doubt. Sarvesh Jindal. Could you please switch on your mic and tell me your doubt?
Sir, I think he is a spammer.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
सर अगर स्पैमर है तो काफी हार्ड वर्किंग है, हर लेक्चर आके सुनता है, फिर कभी कभी बीच में स्पैम भी कर देता है.
हाँ sir.
Sir, can you explain that fx turner is equal to dp on dt again?
Tell me your doubt in here. This is so very self-explanatory. dt I brought to the left. Delta t tending to 0, delta p is tending to 0.
So
इसमें क्या doubt है?
basically this is an expression to find the external force, na?
This is the definition, no?
अरे न्यूटन सेकंड लॉ से आया ना.
न्यूटन
अरे
सेकंड लॉ
हाँ हाँ
वही
हाँ
है.
सॉरी सर. यस यस सुना
तू भी
सुना.
स्पैमर है.
नहीं 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 मैं भूल गया था.
न्यूटन सेकंड लॉ भूल गया तूने.
हाँ
हाँ भी
सर,
बोल
ऐसे
दिया.
बहुत सारा एक साथ
वही
दिमाग
सर,
में
हाँ बोल
चलता है ना
दिया.
तो
तीन
हाँ
ही
भी
लॉ
बोल
है,
दिया.
बहुत सारे काम पे है.
ना इनोसेंट है.
न्यूटन सेकंड लॉ भूल गया तू. कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मोमेंटम क्या सीखोगे यार? a plus b होल स्क्वायर कितना है?
a square plus b square plus 2ab.
तो बोल क्यों?
a minus b होल स्क्वायर.
a square plus b square minus 2ab.
2 sin a sin b.
हाँ सर.
2 sin A sin B.
Sin A plus cos A plus, sorry, नहीं याद आ रहा है।
गलत कर दिया।
That took some
यार
मजा आ गया।
क्या हो रहा है?
सर क्रिसमस गिफ्ट मिल गया हम लोग को।
2 sin A sin B, फिर से बोलो।
सर भाग गया।
हे,
Spammer ही था।
नहीं मैं हूँ।
how can you forget 2 sin A sin B? यार सारे trigonometric formulae एक पेज पर लिखो, every day have a look at it.
Yes sir,
Sin A
sorry.
plus B,
हाँ sir,
sin A plus B,
sin A plus B is sin A, सर नहीं याद आ रहा है मेरे को कुछ।
तेरे को देख।
सर हार्ट
सर
GChem
सर बैठ जाओ सर, पानी पी लो, पानी पी लो।
GChem से सुन लिया ना, एक बार तो हो गया।
सर सांस ले
सर
लो।
क्या करेंगे
सर होता है सर, होता है ये।
हाँ सर होता है।
तू मत बोल।
क्या होता है इतना? अरे ये
क्या
क्या
होता
होता है?
है?
sin A
Sir,
plus B
sir,
कैसा
रुको,
बोलता है
रुको,
इंसान?
रुको, किसने बोला है होता है?
Sharvin.
शार्विन।
सर शार्विन 11
6 is greater than 11. So he said 6 is greater than 11.
हाँ, ये इसके लिए सब कुछ होता है, राइट? 6 will be greater than 11, 5 will be greater than 11, कुछ भी हो सकता है, राइट? sin A plus B कैसा भूल जाओगे यार? यार ये सब फॉर्मूले एक पेज पर लिखो, जहां पर आप बैठते हो वहां पर स्टिक करो, एवरी डे हैव ए ग्लैंस एट इट इन बिटवीन व्हेन यू आर टायर्ड, राइट? यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू फॉरगेट देम। नींद में उठा के पूछने से भी आपको बताना पड़ेगा। अब तक मैंने फिजिक्स में कुछ फॉर्मूला मेमोराइज करने के लिए नहीं बोला हुआ है, ग्रेविटेशन से बताएंगे, पोटेंशियल ड्यू टू रिंग, फील्ड ड्यू टू रिंग, वो सब एक्सप्रेशन याद करना पड़ेंगे। एवरी क्लास आई आस्क यू, the student who don't answer will stand upside down. अरे भाई sin A plus B, sin A cos B plus cos A।
Plus
हाँ
cos A
सर
sin B.
सर,
Yes.
अरे सर मैं भूल गया थोड़ा।
इतना डरावना दिखता हूँ मैं तुम्हें? मेरे चेहरे देख के
नहीं
भूल
सर।
जाते हो। नोट, राइट द सेकंड नोट।
अरे नहीं सर थोड़ा।
अरे नहीं, आपके बारे में
अरे
नींद में है।
अरे बाप रे।
अरे बेशुमार सो रहा है।
सच में नींद में लग रहा है।
नहीं सर, नोट सभी को लिखना है, सिर्फ आपको नहीं। नोट, normal tension and frictional force are case dependent impulsive forces. Normal tension and frictional forces are case dependent impulsive forces. Normal tension and frictional forces are case dependent impulsive forces. क्या बोला मैंने? नॉर्मल, फ्रिक्शनल एंड टेंशन फोर्स आर केस डिपेंडेंट। टेंशन मैंने ऑलरेडी दिखाया है आपको। When I am pulling with constant force, it is non-impulsive. I give a jerk, it is impulsive, right? I'll give you a few more examples. ध्यान से सुनिए। In HCV, you have solved a few questions without your knowledge. M1 is moving, M2 it is colliding with. Now there was friction on the ground, yet you conserved linear momentum in the horizontal direction.
Yes, sir.
You are supposed to get this doubt, right? Friction है तो momentum कैसा conserve किया है?
Sir, at that instant we do it.
Listen, this normal force, I will draw impulsive forces with red color. This normal force and this normal force are impulsive. These both are impulsive. Impulsive, they contribute in a short time interval of contact, they change the momentum of both the mass. In a short time interval of contact, this normal force will change the momentum of M1, will change the momentum of M2. If you take both as one system, this normal force becomes an
Internal force.
internal force. This N1 and this frictional force mu N1 are non-impulsive. I by chance drew them with red color. This is N1 and this is mu N1. This and this are non-impulsive. in a very short time interval of contact, they don't appreciably change any momentum. This is N2. This was moving towards the light, right? So I take friction as mu N2. This is non-impulsive. So in that short time interval when they are colliding, the frictional force is non-impulsive here, right?
Yeah.
Hence, HCV designed those questions for you people to understand that I can conserve linear momentum in that direction. तो कभी फ्रिक्शन इंपल्सिव होगा? एक एग्जांपल दे सकते हो? जब this normal force is impulsive, this frictional force will become impulsive. Friction arising due to an impulsive normal force is also impulsive force. That means if this normal force is impulsive, this frictional force is impulsive. You mean to say in that short time interval, this frictional force can appreciably change the momentum? Yes. You people know the examples. Take a basketball and spin it, it will fall there and it will come back to you. It should go ahead, no yaar. You drop the basketball straight, it should go up. You spin it and drop, it will come back to you.
Yes, sir.
Direction of the momentum change हुआ कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And cricket ball, you catch it and spin it this way. When it falls, it will turn its direction. And if it is on a rough mat, it will turn its direction to a very great extent.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Here, friction was non-impulsive, but the example I am giving you, friction will be impulsive. Here, friction is non-impulsive, but the example which I am giving you, spin a cricket ball, right? Spin a basketball and drop it. It will turn back to you. Spin it clockwise, it will go ahead. Right? So same frictional force is non-impulsive here and impulsive in examples that I have told you right now. Take it down till here. I'll just bring a ball if I can show demonstrate this. Don't make noise. I'll come back. Have a look. If you drop the ball this way, it should come straight right.
Yes, sir.
Right? If you spin it this way,
Yes, sir. Yeah. हाँ sir,
right?
भैया.
I'm making
sir,
it fall here, it's coming back. I'll try to decrease the height. Have a look.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Clear with that?
Yes, sir.
So this is the frictional force which is impulsive. When the ball is spinning this way, this point will go in the forward direction.
Yes, sir.
Frictional force is acting in the backward direction. And this friction is arising due to the normal force between the ball and the surface. Now the flooring is smooth, tiles. Hence you are not getting this. On basketball ground, when you spin it, it will move to a very great extent. Because basketball ground is generally rough.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Few more examples need to be taken. Can I rub the board?
No, sir. Don't.
No, sir.
Cool, cool.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, can there be a case where there is like the frictional force is impulsive and normal force is not?
Friction arising due to an impulsive normal force must be impulsive.
Okay,
If this friction is coming due to this N1, and if N1 is impulsive, then friction will be impulsive.
okay, sir.
Done, sir.
Okay, 1 second. Wait. Listen, if there is a body like this, and there is another body striking this body, capital M, small. Right? Now watch out for the forces. This is capital M. This will have a normal force this way. This will have a normal force this way. Both the normal forces are impulsive. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now beauty is this N1 is also impulsive. This is also impulsive. क्यों भाई साहब? You are striking the ball this way. This ball will bounce.
Yes.
Snooker me, this is shown quite a few times. When you using the cue, you strike the ball inclined, the ball will bounce. You strike this way, this normal force will come into the picture. Hey, Suno.
Yes, sir.
Singham Part 1 picture देखा है आप लोगों ने?
Yes, sir.
नहीं सर, नहीं देखा
हाँ
है।
सर देखा है
मैंने
सर, वो
देखा है।
चल के जब मारता है।
देखा है।
There were quite a few jokes on it and memes, but the fact of life is none of those people were rigid bodies. That's the only mistake. If they were rigid bodies, you hit them hard towards the ground, they'll bounce up. सही दिखा उसने.
Yes.
Yes.
Thinking they were non-rigid bodies. You take any body and you hit it down, it will bounce up. Yes or no?
हाँ सर,
Yes, sir.
तो गलत क्या है? उस पर इतने सारे मीम्स दिखा है.
इतने भारी इंसान को मारा ना सर उसने, उसको उठाना इतना आसान थोड़ी ना है।
Even
सिर्फ सिंघम कर सकता है।
They were not rigid bodies. That's a mistake. इतना तो you can forgive Rohit Shetty.
हाँ सर.
Yes sir.
Yes.
जो उसकी आदत है.
Listen, this is impulsive force. Impulsive. This is also impulsive. Ironically, this normal force is impulsive. Now, you actually can demonstrate this on snooker. I wish I saved some videos. Now searching them will be wasting time. But on YouTube, you can see magical videos on snooker. They strike a ball this way and the ball will bounce up. देखा है कभी आप लोगों ने?
हाँ सर, देखा
नहीं
है
सर,
सर.
नहीं
किया
देखा
भी
है।
है, हाँ सर।
मैंने नहीं देखा।
हाँ. The cue should hit the ball at an incline. Generally, snooker, you use the cue to hit,
हॉरिजॉन्टली मारते हैं सर।
right?
हाँ सर।
Mother, if you hit it this way, it will bounce up.
Oh.
It will bounce up. You can see this, right? YouTube पे search मारो snooker का funny game, snooker का exceptional talent, all that. There are people who will make the ball bounce 2-3 times. They'll keep n number and they'll exactly make it fall into the hole. Expert is
sir.
to the peak there, right?
Dude, perfect.
If you strike this, why does the ball ride? Because this normal force now is impulsive.
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Sir, Venom trick shots देखने को बोलो. Venom trick shots YouTube पे.
Yes sir.
Right now दिखा दूंगा. 1 second रुको. 1 second रुको. ये भी देखना है. मजा आता है वो देखने में। Venom trick shots. ये क्या है यार, बाउंसिंग बॉल नहीं दिख रहा है। हाँ, दिस मस्ट बी। हाँ, here did you see he'll make the ball bounce?
Yes, sir.
एक मिनट
Sir, he
रुको।
has a
हाँ,
world record. उसमें उसने
have a look,
bounce
have
पाया.
a look at it, have a look at it, have a look. 1 second, have patience. Did you see the ball
Yes,
bouncing?
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
This
Very much.
was using normal force as impulsive between the ball and the board.
Yes.
Let's see for look at this. Look at this. Did you see them?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Repeat this. Have a look. This is beautiful. Wait. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That was using impulse. Same normal force in the previous examples was non-impulsive when it was hitting horizontal. When he hit this way, this became impulsive. So it will bounce this way.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you able to visualize? No, this is your discretion. This needs expertise. That's why I'm spending so much time on it. I don't have a thumb rule to say these are all impulsive, these are all non-impulsive. Same normal force in this case is non-impulsive. This normal force, the normal force here was non-impulsive. When the cue hit the snooker ball this way, this is non-impulsive. Non-impulsive. But when the cue strikes this way, this normal force is impulsive. You must have this discretion. If not this subtopic, you cannot solve. Right? Have a look at this. This is a ball hanging this way. This body strikes this body. Normal force between these two is impulsive. Nobody has a doubt in it. Yes or no?
Yes.
But
Tension is impulsive.
that tension is non-impulsive in this case. Non-impulsive. But same body, when the small end strikes this way, tension will become
Impulsive.
there will be a jerk on that string, the mass will rise. Right? Pushpam, wait, relax. When all we conserve momentum, I'll come to next. First, student should understand how to recognize impulsive and non-impulsive. Let us not run here. I'm going slow for reasons that you will understand. Right? When this mass is striking this normal force and this normal force are impulsive. I have no issue with that. But this tension is also impulsive now. While here this tension was non-impulsive. All the more, if small end strikes this way, this tension is again non-impulsive. Non-impulsive. It doesn't exist thereafter when the ball bounces. The ball bounces not because of the tension, but because of this collision. Here, ball will bounce up because of the tension. That's an impulsive force. This is non-impulsive. This is non-impulsive. All three cases of tension. Draw these diagrams, they're important.
Sir, in the last case which you showed right now, over here when the ball is coming down again, उसके बाद फिर से tension impulsive होगा ना,
That is
because फिर से
impulsive.
ऊपर bounce
Right.
करेगा.
Which I showed to you. Right, perfectly.
break. It's a 70. So I'm going to try to beat that, which is, it's not going to be so simple. So we'll see.
All right, Florian, when you're ready.
Right? He's hitting the ball in the downward direction. And I mean the snooker ball. And the ball is bouncing up.
Yes,
Why
sir.
should it bounce up? When I'm hitting it downwards. What happened? My okay. So that's the key catch in it. You're hitting the ball downwards. And the ball is bouncing up. Because this normal force is now impulse. Somebody sent this YouTube video right now, which I showed to you. This was Siddharth. Thank you.
Sir, sir, I have sent it out in the chat, sir, on the post.
बता दो यार आप.
Sir, can we say that this normal force, sir, in the snooker example, is the impulsive force because the component of that of the main impulsive force is there in the normal force direction, sir.
Right. This normal force ka component in the downward direction is impulsive. So the component of this normal force in the upward direction will be impulsive. That is the last note I will dictate.
Done, sir.
Note, an impulsive force can be balanced impulsive force can be balanced only by another impulsive force. An impulsive force can be balanced only by another impulsive force. An impulsive force can be balanced only by another impulsive force.
Sir, in the case where the upward normal is non-impulsive, in that will the friction due to that be also be
Non-impulsive. Listen, here friction is non-impulsive, here friction is impulsive. अगर यहाँ friction है, so it is non-impulsive, but this friction is impulsive.
Impulsive. So, despite the fact that the friction is acting along the direction of collision.
Yes, because this normal force is non-impulsive. Friction due to that normal force is non-impulsive. That's the reason why if two bodies collide this way, even if there is friction, I conserve linear momentum in the horizontal direction.
Yes.
Just before and just after collision. I am conserving momentum only in that short time interval. Long after, this body will come to rest because of friction. So I am not dealing with long after. I am dealing with just before collision and just after collision. To conserve momentum during a non-impulsive force, limit delta T should tend to 0. Don't forget that. F external into delta T is delta P. Delta T tending to 0, delta P will be tending to 0. So just before collision and just after collision, I can conserve momentum, even if there is an external force called friction, provided that frictional force is non-impulsive. These conditions of where I can apply momentum and not will be taught in the next class. The next 2 lectures will become very heavy all of a sudden. And then again, it will slightly relax. Next 3 lectures, variable mass spec. It will become very heavy. You are able to perceive why. Right? Please be present in the class mentally as well as physically.
Sir, heavier than spring wala part.
This will be the toughest part of our course until now.
Can you repeat the final statement, please? I got locked out.
Here, when these two bodies collide, there is friction.
Yes, sir.
Friction is an external force. But
yes,
the normal force upward direction is non-impulsive. So even friction is non-impulsive.
non-impulsive. Yes.
So in that short time interval, just before collision and just after, you can conserve momentum.
Yes.
And if it is an impulsive force, I cannot conserve momentum because impulsive force, even in that short time interval, will produce change in momentum. Impulsive force, even in a short time interval, will produce change in momentum. That's the definition of impulsive force, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, and what was that? An impulsive force can be balanced
by only another impulsive force.
Okay, sir. So that they cancel out.
Yeah, you can cancel out, balance. Net total subtraction between two impulsive forces is possible. एक impulsive, एक non-impulsive force subtract नहीं करोगे. They cannot balance each other.
Sir, in
Thank
the
you,
pool ball example, sir, the ball spins also, right? But that's not due to the friction, or is it?
That will learn in rotational dynamics. अभी so many चीजें एक चीज में incorporate मत करो. Rotation में सीखेंगे, spinning of the ball.
Sir.
हाँ बोलो.
Sir, as from a mathematical point of view, so friction is mu into n, right? So it is basically a constant into a force. Sir, so is this the reason why when normal force is impulsive, then friction also become impulsive? Because it's just a constant multiplied by it.
Right?
Okay, sir.
Sir, in case of impulsive forces, delta t need not tend to 0, right, for conserving momentum.
Even impulsive force में momentum कभी conserve नहीं हो, momentum change हो. F external अगर impulsive है, delta t चाहे tending to 0 हो, not tending to 0 हो, impulsive force even in a short time interval will produce change in momentum.
Yes, sir, got it.
When is the next lecture?
Most probably Monday.
तो मंडे को होगा शायद.
Monday after Wednesday. All a happy Christmas and a happy weekend.
सर टेस्ट है सर.
सर होमवर्क कम कर दो.
सर आप तो कर दिया सर.
होमवर्क दिया
हुआ है, वो भी खत्म नहीं किया है तुम लोगों ने.
नहीं हुआ अभी तो.
नहीं हुआ है,
सर खत्म हो गया.
होता है. किसने बोला नहीं हुआ है? स्टैंड अपसाइड डाउन 5 मिनट का वीडियो
शर्मिन
मुझे
हो गया.
भेजो.
सर आज तक आपको कभी वीडियो मिला है क्या?
ये मिल जाएगा. Optimism is a way to live. कभी ना कभी मिल जाएगा. राइट. एक मीम बनाओ. कौन सा मीम बनाओगे? सिंघम पिक्चर का. When he is hitting, which all hits are impulsive, which all are non-impulsive, वहाँ डायग्राम में लगाओ. आई बात समझ में?
आपका फेस चिपका देंगे.
नहीं, मैं I am not there in that movie. मेरा भी
डाल देंगे.
और तेरा कोई भरोसा नहीं है.
हम कर देंगे.
तेरा कोई भरोसा नहीं. तू मुझे वहां पर डालोगे जहां पर मार खा रहा हूँ.
नहीं सर, नहीं.
वो तो मारोगे.
सर आप मारोगे.
आप मारोगे.
पर आप तो सीआईडी.
हम मार खा रहे हैं.
उधर हमारा
सर मूवी नहीं देखा तो क्या करने का?
देखने का.
मूवी देखने का.
मूवी देखने का.
और रिसर्च पर्पसेस देख ले.